Game loaded.
Neo San Francisco, 2064 AD. The world is on the cusp of not one, but three technological singularities.
Hi, and welcome to the year 2064 and Lessons Learned review of Read Only Memories, a new cyberpunk adventure. This game is very interesting. It starts with Turing, the main character, and nascent AI who comes to you, the player character slash point of view character, because he has a huge problem. His creator is missing, has been kidnapped, and you are the only person that can help little Turing find his creator, find the people behind the kidnapping, and ultimately find why they kidnapping and the greater mystery slash conspiracy that stalks not only Neo San Francisco in Christmas of 2064, but the entire world at this time. It has themes of queerness, of identity. It asks questions about what it is to be sapient and sentient and even human. It does it very well. It has very sharp, smart, funny writing. The graphics are retro, but still smooth and have a vibrant palette. It's not as dark, for example, as other cyberpunk stories, perhaps set in Seattle of Shadowrun or your Night City on Cyberpunk 2020, 2077, or even William Gibson's own story and game back from the day called Neuromancer. It is a brilliant game. It does suffer from the fact that it has arcadey, not so much gamey, but arcadey sections that are designed to basically sell it as a game, which is really a genre convention, right? We've seen this, sort of force arcade sequences in your King Quest and Space Quest and Police Quest and your Gabriel Knights, in your Under Killing Moons and other point-and-click adventures. There are things like, oh yeah, this is a game, therefore we have to have this. The other genre convention which is dominant in this game, the other game mechanic, is puzzles. And I like to say that the puzzles are well constructed and don't suffer from that insane designer troll logic. Like, yes, in order to open this door, you need a key card soaked in days old milk and passed through the mouth of a calf in the middle of the forest somewhere. I mean, you're like, what? Really? What? It doesn't suffer from that. So thank God for that. It's a tight little short indie adventure that I think uses its themes very well. And what is the theme or themes of this game? Well, it's queerness. You have queer characters everywhere, which can include the point of view character, your character, if you so choose. It has representation across the board: race, ethnicity, place of origin, gender, and sexuality, of course. But it also explores through metaphor and analogy, as most sci-fi games do, and particularly in cyberpunk subgenre, the question of who am I? What am I? The question of identity. Because you see, part of the conflict in this game, and one that you discovered as you help in the investigation in finding Hayden, Turing's former owner, is that you have entities, you have technology that can modify people at the genetic and cybernetic level, right? You can have people with completely cybernetic bodies, right? Except maybe for their brains. You can have people who fundamentally change their bodies to the point where they're more animal than human. At least they have things like cat ears or tails and stuff like that. And you have people, of course, pushing back against that. It uses both the fact that you have queer characters in the game as well as these metaphors to balance between, say, oh, let's not make a big deal about X or Y, and oh, this is a very special episode situation, right? And I think it does it brilliantly. A couple of points come to mind. Trans characters might be referred to more through metaphor than actual presence. It could be, of course, that being a straight male myself, I didn't see the signpost. There is one character I believe is to be trans character, but it's pretty vague. Their identity and their backstory makes it like, well, could be, but I don't know. There's two characters that are basically a nod to fan writers, fan fiction writers, and fan artists when they tend to focus on queer characters or queer representations of existing characters in media. because regular media, be it video games, movies, and television, lack said representation. So you can basically push two characters into a queer relationship. They're minor characters, no James Bond thing here. In other words, they're not created to be or to fall in love with the main character or the point of view character. They're not there for your personal satisfaction. They're just there, and you can select whether or not you nudge them in a direction. And again, there's some clear signposts of what possible directions they're in. The story, like I said, it's solid. It's well paced. It's loaded with very interesting characters all across the board. There's limited voice acting. You heard a little bit of it at the beginning of this program, and there's also voice acting usually most of the endings. The cynic may say, well, there's very little voice acting because this was a Kickstarter project that ran into tens of thousands of dollars. So there wasn't a lot of money, for a very large voice acting cast. However, I say that the use of text does allow for the player to sort of basically read between the lines and use their own voices when interpreting the characters, right? It relies on the written voice, if you will, of the text to carry the message and the strength of the characters and the way the characters operate. There's a lot of manga, anime, and Japanese movie and JRPG influences, including those little screen shakes that happen when people have very high emotions. Designs are also awesome. They're a nice mix of 8-bit and 16-bit. Like I said, a very colorful palette. It's not as dark as you would expect, like I mentioned before. This is not your Neo Tokyos or Night Cities or other cities like that. And overall, I think it is an excellent game, an excellent point-click adventure that you should give it a try. Now, I was contacted by Matt Kahn, one of the producers of this game, through Twitter, and he asked me basically whether or not I had a suggestion to make this a more gamey game, if you will, which is something that usually critics go like, oh, this is too gamey, and I don't like this. And I kind of echo that sentiment in my opinions about, point-and-click adventures. But, I said, well, that's a good direction to take this. If you were to improve this game, my suggestion was, and still is, that I would like to see a stronger exploration mechanic. Because I find the setting of Neo San Francisco in 2064 to be very interesting. I'd like to see more of it, explore it further. But my real recommendation would go to a sequel, because I think this game, it's begging for a sequel. And I think the sequel, considering the possibility of the endings, should have a nascent character, a new creature born into this world that is completely new and apart from the characters we've already seen in the original game. And as they go about the game, they should get a chance to discover and dictate who they are as a person, as a sapient and sentient being, in all the manners I described: race, gender, sexuality, ethnicity, religion, etc. It also would have, again, stronger exploration mechanics in Neo San Francisco. Wouldn't necessarily have to rely too much on the arcade, especially the sort of shoot-'em-up aspects that this game uses to create a sense of player agency, and through that, a sense of the illusion of control. I think that by giving the player, if a sequel is made, a sense of creation through gameplay, creation of character through gameplay, you would have a very strong sense of the illusion of control, and it would certainly be more gamey than its predecessor. So that's my recommendation. This game does need a sequel because it is an excellent game that should continue on into the future as an IP. As always, if you like this or any of my videos on my channel, please comment and subscribe, and I'll see you when I see you. Good night.